I'll start my presentation with thinking of Lord Shiva. So I'll recite Om Namah Shivaya 3 times, just the way I recite it.
Jai Shivambu.
Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. All right, I'll start briefly with my introduction. As Basuma said, I'm an occupational therapist qualified from GS Medical College, Mumbai, way back in time, so let's not go there. I've done a diploma in acupuncture from Acupuncture Colleges, Sydney, Australia, which was a 3-year course. And after that, I did a Bachelor of Acupuncture 1 year from International College of Oriental Medicine in London. Now, over my career of about 40 plus years, I worked in Bharat, worked in England, Scotland, and Australia, mainly in Australia, about 32 years. I mentored students in occupational therapy and acupuncture for many, many years in Australia and in Bharat. Over the years, as part of my acupuncture arsenal, I felt the need to study yoga, pranayam, Surya Namaskar, meditation, Shivambu, pH, etc. Today, I'm a world leader in Shivambu, one of the few people who thinks of research and who is trying to do something in research. There might be others, but I have not come across anybody who has discussed with me or presented papers or showed that tendency to do research. Shivambu research is a very complex item, so I can understand that difficulty there. And I am also the only person who has written about scientific Surya Namaskar, where we have 70 plus levels of difficulty within Surya Namaskar. I've been involved with Health Siren for the past 4 years. Why is this not going away? Why is the top of the thing not going away? Can I do something?
Rajaramji.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. Currently, I'm studying Bharatiya traditional exercise systems. We have a very rich heritage of Bharatiya exercise systems, mainly related to non-weight exercises, using body weight only. And I'm in the process of looking at that. We have an immense array, close to 8 or 10 different martial arts across the different parts of the country. The only one we know about today is the Kalaripattu, which is being maintained and fostered in Kerala area. The rest of the country has lost it and it's there in pockets somewhere hidden away. I'm presently based in Kothurud, Pune. I run a consulting practice for natural therapies, incorporating all aspects of health and healing strategies that I have at my disposal. So whether it is exercise, whether it is diet, whether it is naturopathy, whether it is Shivambu, anything that is going to help my patient. I'm also in the process of teaching Surya Namaskar, True Yoga, career guidance, and mentoring. We have just recently started teaching Mantak Chia. I don't know how many of you know about Mantak Chia. Mantak Chia is more into sexual health and sexual fitness and that sort of stuff. And using Kama Shastra. People know about Kama Shastra in India. Unfortunately, it is looked at as a sexology book rather than a total treatise on good sexual health and preparation for couples. So we are in the process of doing that for people who may be interested in that. I haven't put down here, but I also look at enhancing sports performance using any of the knowledge I have that is helpful. I've been involved with Health Siren for the last 4 years. Health Siren is an expert consulting firm specializing in natural therapies with use of yoga, scientific Surya Namaskar, diet, fitness, pranayam, Shivambu, lifestyle changes. And currently they are exploring more into fertility and fetal quality enhancing for young couples who wish to have children and want them to be better in health. They also offer counseling services, and they're based in Wakad and providing online and offline services as relevant. Since the last 2.5 years, the corporate social responsibility activity of this firm, even though it's in its nascent stage, has been to create educational material on YouTube as part of the following series. Now I'm going to talk about the series, but most important, I want to highlight to you all that it is limited by our time, our budget, and our energy. So we are doing it all out of our own free goodwill and putting a lot of effort, something like about 2, 3, 4 hours a day at times that we put there. Anybody who wishes to support us, they are welcome to connect with us afterwards, and we'll see how we can have them on board. Now we have got a Freedom from Disease series, which is of 28 videos in 3 languages. I do a Freedom from Disease presentation for 4 hours, and that, if people are interested, we can look at that later on. We have also recently completed the series on Shivambu, 20 videos in 2 languages. Unfortunately, that's only in English and Marathi. And the second series on Shivambu is, we are working on it at the moment. We have got scientific Surya Namaskar videos. We have got True Yoga series 1 and series 2. And overall, we have about 200 plus videos for self-help for people to heal themselves. We are forever on the lookout for volunteers capable of translation of any of our data material in Bharatiya and foreign languages. It is incredible that we have nearly 18 or 20 languages, and we would like to get across the whole country. Okay, now getting on to today's presentation. I'm a bit of a purist, so I'm going to stick only to Shivambu and all details about Shivambu rather than mix it with yoga and Surya Namaskar and breathing and everything else. So today's session will be talking about Shivambu, its strengths, weaknesses, deficits in our practices, how to improve and overcome them, propagation across the world, research and publications, potential that is untapped according to me, and then open for questions. The first major thing that I want everybody to really wake up to, and I see a lot of people across the board, across nations, think of Shivambu as medicine. Shivambu is not medicine. Shivambu is a way of life. Shivambu is something that is useful for the body, but it is not to be taken as medicine. Why am I saying that? Because Shivambu does not have any specific ingredients as medicine has for a particular disease or a particular problem or something like that. Shivambu has got an ability to just bring the body towards normal. Okay, it is like a magnet. If you have a magnet and you know this is where you have to go, wherever you are pulled, attracted towards that direction, whether you are on the high side or the low side. That is what Shivambu has got an ability. Now we are today using it more as a medical input because we are so sick that we need to use something, and Shivambu offers that ability. But that doesn't make it medicine. So I want people to be very clear that Shivambu is not medicine. The only thing that is talked about in the ancient literature, which is Shivambu Kalpavidhi, is the fact that Shivambu controls Kapha, Pitta and Vata, which is the basis of Ayurvedic health and Ayurvedic philosophy. But remember, it does not destroy it. So your body still needs some Kapha, body still needs some Vata, body still needs some Pitta. And Shivambu brings it to normal. It doesn't, if it is below normal, it will bring it to normal. If it is above normal, it will bring it to normal. Now, the biggest enigma we have with this problem is how do we justify it to the rest of the world? Because the rest of the world today is lost in the fact that if I want to bring my blood pressure down, I take one medicine, and if I have to take my blood pressure up, I have to take something opposite medicine. Shivambu seems to deliver all that quite well, although it has its limitations. Limitations in the sense that certain conditions may not respond, certain patients may not respond as well as some others. And we need to look into that, and we might touch on bits of that as we go along. The second thing we need to be very clear about is Shivambu is not equal to urine. Now we all think urine is Shivambu. No. When urine is within the bladder, it is still classified as urine, but inside the body, it is not having the medicinal effect, which is why we get kidney stones, bladder cancer, etc., all the problems of the kidneys. But the same thing, when you pass it out, collect it and drink it, we have found incredible results that kidney stone patients become better within a few days. Kidney failure patients can improve, but there are limitations, and I'm going to talk about that in a particular case. So, there is something that is happening between passing urine, collecting it and drinking it that makes it that magic. Now we really don't know what that magic is, and there is not enough research done on that. And one of the biggest problems of research is any research done on Shivambu, we believe is going to show that Shivambu is beneficial, Shivambu is miraculous, Shivambu is fantastic. But who is going to make money out of it? Not a single cent will come, because what the prescription will come out and say is, okay, all of us can drink Shivambu every morning and you will be benefited. Now what happened to all that research who spent all that money and they can't get a product, there is no tablet, there is no liquid, there is nothing that they can sell. And I see that as a problem for research. Others might have different views, so I'm prepared to discuss with them. Why is Shivambu not a waste product? We all know that blood is very potentially powerful and very good. Shivambu, which is urine plus whatever the ingredients are picked up, is all about the same ingredients that are there in the body that are excess at that point in time. Now, the most important thing that we need to remember, and we forget all these things. If I eat a pizza today, or if I eat pani puri, or if I have chicken, or if I have egg, or if I have fruit, when my blood test is done 4 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours later, I don't find the fruit or the chicken or the hamburger or the pizza in my blood. The body does the job of breaking it down into the elements, and then it is put into the body as blood. It is a very complex process. We can't do it artificially. Otherwise, we would have produced blood and the ingredients, and people would have got better straight away. We cannot put food in a factory and bring out those nutrients just as the body does. So there are a lot of limitations. We talk about we are advanced, but we are not. But when you look at those ingredients in the elemental forms, when they are excreted in the urine, so-called excretion, they are the most ready-made food for the body, because they are in fully absorbable state. You can put it directly in the blood and you can't do any harm. I am not suggesting we should inject it in the blood, because that will cause different problems. It will become like an overdose of extra stuff which the blood has to clean out. But going through the gut is quite acceptable, because the blood will accept what is required, and what is not, again, will throw out what is excess at that point in time. And that is why Shivambu is very helpful for the body. Now, Shivambu works in different ways. Clinically, we have found that it works in cleansing the body, making waste matter get out of the system, opening up pores, improving the skin, improving your gut, getting sort of flushes of stools, etc., etc. So overall, it is what I call a cleansing process. Now, as the body gets cleansed out properly, it starts functioning better. Of course, there are other things that you need to make sure. I cannot keep eating rubbish, do rubbish things, smoke, drink, gamble, drugs, etc., and then say I'm not getting benefit from Shivambu, because Shivambu can do only so much. It is like putting a brake in a car and putting the accelerator down and saying the car is not moving, or it's moving very slowly. So to help Shivambu, you need to do other things that will be helpful. Now, autophagy and its benefits. Autophagy is basically fasting and the effects of fasting on cleansing the body and improving the body health. Just recently, I think 3, 4, 7 years ago, autophagy was given a Nobel Prize. A Japanese scientist won it. What we forget is autophagy is fasting, and fasting has been done in India for eons. The number of people who have done weekend fasting, weekday fasting, certain days of the week, half fast, full fast, etc., has not been stupid and not been advertised by religious people just because they think somebody should fast and we should save food. There has been a specific process where they have understood that it is beneficial to the body. So if you fast 1 day a week, it's good for health. Today, that philosophy, even in Western medicine, is slowly coming back, but they will not accept that it comes from ancient India. The Jains used to have a similar thing. They would fast for 2 days a week, few weeks, and it improved their health. They didn't die. Okay, so all this idea that we have today that fasting is harmful to health is not really right. Now, how is Shivambu propagated today? One of the things that I see as a propagation is I benefit from Shivambu, so I share it with everybody. But because I benefit from Shivambu, my sharing, is it logical? Is it correct? Is it based on basis? Is it sort of, just excuse me 1 minute. अरे काय रे? अरे काय रे? मी जरा कॉन्फरन्स मध्ये. अर्जंट आहे का? मी 9:30 होईन मी फोन करतो. चल बाय. Sorry about that. My phone kept ringing 5 times, so I just had to check that. All right, so where was I? So how is Shivambu propagated today? Today we are in the process of trying to help others who, because we have benefited, we are wanting to help. The idea is good, the process is good, but if we don't have enough adequate, safe knowledge, just asking people to drink without prescription, without a sort of dose, without understanding the history, and we'll talk a bit about that, then we may be coming up at a loose end. And one of the concerns I have as a responsible person, coming from health, where I know the responsibility is much greater, is that if we don't do things right, our unsatisfied customers are the worst publicity. As some people say, an unhappy customer, one bad apple can rot everything else. So like that, one unhappy customer is going to go around telling everybody else that this is rubbish, no good, etc., etc. So we need to be really careful and make sure we do the best in our own limited way, but do it right. And we'll talk about that, and I'm open for questions on that. So, if we can have a system where we can have pracharaks trained to do so, that would be nice. And to develop that, we need to reconsider, we need to make sure we study the subject, become leaders, and then advise and prescribe. So what are the pitfalls of Shivambu goodwill? When I say goodwill, I'm talking about myself and all my friends here today and anywhere else in the world who want to propagate Shivambu the best way they can, because they have personally benefited incredibly. We take very poor history of the condition that is going on. Somebody tells me I've got cancer, you say, okay, you do this, it'll be okay. I don't know whether they have got any other problems or whether there are issues or whether they can manage or can't manage or whatever. Poor prescription, we don't know how much we should ask somebody to drink and not drink, apply, etc., because we are not aware of the strengths and limitations of that prescription. We have very poor follow-up. We tell people advice, they go and do what they want. If they don't come back, we think they are healed. But if they are not healed, they are going to go away and be unhappy and pass on negative information. So there has to be a system of good follow-up to make sure we are trying to do the right thing. And poor education. When I say education, there is not enough information, proper information out there. Everybody is coming out and giving bits and pieces of information, all meaning well. The worst thing that I find is everybody has got the best intentions, but because there is lack of adequate information or adequate effort going into it, it ends up could become a problem. Now I'm going to talk about a few conditions that I have had exceptional results and some frustrations, etc., just to show you the dimension of what can happen. I had a person with a skin problem. He must be in his mid-20s or late 20s. He had been suffering for many years. Obviously, like most of the patients that come to us, he had tried anything and everything. Allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, natural therapy, aloe vera, this, that, the works. When he came to me, what I saw was his skin was like leather. If I took a patch of leather that cobblers have and put it on my elbow, put it on my knee, that is how his skin looked all over the body. He was scratching so much that he would be sitting there and he would be doing. And when I asked him, I said, why are you scratching? He said, I'm not scratching. Same thing with his knees. He would be scratching with his knees. I said, why are you scratching? He said, I'm not scratching. He doesn't even know it. It is that bad. Anyway, we started him on Shivambu internal and external, and within about a year's time, He completely recovered without a single scar. Everything went away perfectly. He could not go out into the sun. He would always wear full sleeve clothes, a hat when he went out into the sun. All that changed and he got his normal color back. And today he's quite happy. This is after about 8-9 years after. He doesn't take Shivambu. He doesn't need to take Shivambu. Last time when I checked about 6 months back, he was not having any irritations or aggravations anytime. But he knows if he has an aggravation, where to go, what to do. So the other thing that we need to be aware of is Shivambu as treatment does not have to be a lifetime effort that you have to do it. Some may need it because their body is not coping, so they need that daily top up, but it is not essential. Now the kidney failure cases, I put frustration there because I was so frustrated. I had this lady come in with her husband coming in and asking me whether we can do anything for kidney failure. And she was on dialysis 3 days a week. So I spoke to her husband and I said, look, the correct way to do it, we are not in the middle of the jungle. I cannot say no treatment, stop all dialysis. We will do what happens, and if the patient improves, otherwise she dies. Because we all know if they don't have dialysis for 2 days, their creatinine level goes up and they become very sick. So I said to the husband, I said, look, for correct practice, we need to work with the medical authorities. Why don't you go and talk to the kidney specialist where you're getting dialysis? Talk to him and say, we are going to try something new. If we get results, we would like you to postpone the dialysis by 1 day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday is the dialysis. If on Tuesday we come and we say things are looking better, can we postpone Wednesday to Thursday? You must do that. Can you do that? And he came back within 10 minutes, happy as Larry, and said, yeah, doctor has agreed. So I said, okay, we can work. I started working with the patient with my fasting, urine, whatever protocol I had to do, I did everything. And we were monitoring the blood tests every week because their system was they would have a blood test and the next day there would be dialysis and the creatinine level was showing. One fine day after about 6 or 8 or 12 weeks, he came in happy as Larry with a wide smile, said, doc, the creatinine has come down. I said, right, now is the time you go and speak to the kidney specialist and say, look, the creatinine is down. We will repeat this blood test tomorrow. Can we postpone tomorrow's dialysis to day after? And we would like to see over the next 48 hours how much the creatinine rises. And within 2 minutes, he came back and he said with his head down, he said, no, the doctor said, we can't do all that. We can't change anything. Our routine is fixed. We got all these bookings and everything. And some excuse was made and he never complied and he never cooperated. That was the time I was very frustrated and very angry. And first I felt that he should have been honest in the first place. We would not have taken this lady through all this fasting and Shivambu and everything. There was a need for the lady to suffer. And then later on, after a few weeks, when I realized that maybe the problem is different, maybe the doctor never believed that there could be results. So he said, okay, we will do it. And when the results started coming, he didn't know what to do. So he had to get a way out. So whether that was the case, I haven't spoken to the doctor, so I can't say that is the case. Okay? But this is just my theory. And there are a lot of doctors who don't believe in it and who feel it's all waste of time. So instead of saying openly, they will say, okay, we'll go with it and then present like this. Now this lady with leg ulcers. Now one of the things I would like to mention here is we all have a cause of disease. A cause could be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual. Now I'm talking from my acupuncture background, but I use the same format to understand any disease, whether I'm treating with Shivambu, naturopathy, or anything. So irrespective of whether you use Shivambu or not, some of the cases that we don't get results, I believe either the physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual causes are not being removed, or they are not being excreted out, or they are not exhausted. We are not getting rid of the cause. And that could be the reason why results are not happening. Now this lady with leg ulcers, her leg ulcers were like as big as a 1 rupee coin. Okay, sometimes even a 10 rupee coin. And they were oozing. And she had fat legs. We started her on Shivambu, we started her also with acupuncture, and I document everything. So when I say acupuncture, the previous ones did not have acupuncture, they had only Shivambu treatment. And we started getting results. But the results were not conclusive, it was not disappearing completely. Now, one of the problems with this person was she was non-assertive. Anybody says, do this, she would say, okay, okay, okay. Try to keep everybody happy, whether it was family, friends, neighbors, whatever. And she would overload herself and get into trouble and then wonder why things are going wrong, why life is so tough. And over the couple of years that I was working with her, slowly she changed her attitude, started becoming assertive, started redirecting her energies, started getting others to do their load rather than overload it on herself. And one fine day she phoned me up and she said, magic results, eureka, eureka. My leg ulcers are gone, I've lost weight, I'm feeling good and I'm top of the world. That was again about 4 or 5 years ago, so she's still as good as anything. The last one I want to touch on is preventive health benefits. Now, we should not forget that Shivambu Kalpavidhi is the main source of literature that we have on Shivambu. Everything else has got only bits and pieces in any manner. One line here, 2 lines there. Shivambu Kalpavidhi is the only one that has got 107 shlokas, which are all exclusively related to Shivambu and different prescriptions. In that, it is very clearly mentioned that Shivambu is for higher. That's why it is called an elixir. It is not called medicine. Why an elixir? Because it is supposed to be used by most of us who are closer to normal to achieve higher levels of achievement within our body, whether it is through yoga, meditation, and moving up in the world. When I say moving up, I'm not talking about career, money, etc. I'm talking about spiritual enhancement. So, Shivambu basically talks about more preventive health rather than curative health. Curative health is not mentioned anywhere. So the preventive health, I have this young girl who used to have healthy periods, would last 4 or 5 days, not overbleeding, not troubling her, but she would get a bit of cramp, she would get an occasional irritation and a bit of a headache, and that's it. But it was nothing extraordinary that we hear about cases where it is headache terrible, cramps terrible, weakness terrible, clots, etc., etc. And I recommend her to go on Shivambu for better health. And she was a yoga practitioner and other stuff anyway. And after about 3 or 4 months, one fine day she woke up to find her clothes were stained. Why am I saying this? Because the period started without even an iota of problem for her. There was no pain, no noticeable discomfort, nothing, to the point that she didn't even know that she had started bleeding. And since then, today, that is nearly about more than a year or a year and a half later, whenever she has period, they are smooth, and what she now refers to as silky smooth. Now, that is the level of better health that can be achieved with Shivambu. And we are sitting here not talking about all those aspects. So, we are talking about a different dimension of health here. And that is what Shivambu can offer. And that is something we need to look at and we need to utilize to our benefit, because if we propagate it right, we will have a lot of normals taking on Shivambu and benefiting. Now, problem solving for inquiries. It is quite commonly noted that patients get diarrhea, patients may get vomiting when they do Shivambu, they get a lot of gases, their tummy is tight, etc. And all that is reason because the body is doing its cleansing. So as part of cleansing, it is getting rid what I call from the closest exit. So it is coming from the nose, coming from the skin, coming from the mouth. If it's in the stomach and you're vomiting, it will come from the mouth. If it is lower down, it will come from the bowels. And this cleansing process goes on consistently to help the body maintain its best. Now, the next thing we need to know, and I believe very strongly in that, is Shivambu is purely Bharatiya heritage. Anybody can say anything about it, but the origin and the propagation and the use has been tremendously done in India, in Bharat. That's why you'll find a lot of yogis who have achieved lots of stuff, high-level stuff. When you start talking to them, if you mention Shivambu, they will nod and say, yes, it is useful. A lot of tantrics do Shivambu because it has got immense value. As I said before, most of the literature on Shivambu is all in one chapter of the Dhamma Tantra, which is the Shivambu Kalpavidhi. Now it is on us, the onus is on us to pass on this correct information to the world. Now, if we do it right, we have got a great scope of changing the world. There have been 4 or 5 world conferences on Shivambu, but over the last 2 conferences, they deteriorated because, again, I believe, I may be wrong, but I believe that there was no money coming out of Shivambu. Nobody could market it. And somebody decided that water was good and pure water is good and distilled water is good, and they started marketing it only to find down the track that distilled water has got its own problems of leaching the body of all the good things also. And those last 2 conferences were more proactive with the water part, so Shivambu slowly was forgotten. So as Bharatiya people, we should get aroused, become passionate, study wholeheartedly, and then propagate with confidence and reality of its true potential to change the world, is what I believe. Now, research and publication. I know people keep telling me, research, what do you have to do? There are simple ways, there are complex ways of research. The simple ways of research is anytime I see a patient, I should document what their problems are, what they do, what they don't do. I should document everything that they did. I've got patients who I tell them go on a fast. They say, oh, no, can't do that. I document it. There are patients I tell them you should drink urine all day. They will drink only in the morning or only 100 ml 3 times a day. Now, if their prescription is not followed as they should, it is unfair to expect results. But people expect results also without doing the right thing. And here, let me go back to something else. If I was to go to a doctor and doctor gave me 2 pills to take 3 times a day, if I was to take only 1 pill, is it fair for me to expect to get results? I don't think so. If I go to a physio gives me exercise and says, do this exercise 50 times twice a day. If I do it 10 times, am I expected to get results? No. So why difference with Shivambu? But that is what happens. And that leads to poor results, and we don't penalize the patient or the person for that. We need to come down hard and say, if you want to do it properly or don't do it. Why are you wasting my time? Because they're picking your brains, they're picking your ideas and then abusing it. And these are the only people who are going to turn around and say, it didn't help me, I didn't get results. But they haven't done it properly. So how can they expect results? If they do it properly, I'm prepared to stand up and say, yes, this was a failing case for me. And cases are going to fail. Because most of the time, the patients we get, people who come to us are at the bottom of the chain. They have done their allopathy, they have done their homeopathy, they have done their Ayurveda, they have done their acupuncture, they have done their Unani, they have done all their natural therapies, and somebody tells them Shivambu will help. So they come suddenly with all great expectation when everybody else has let them down. And who is prescribing them? If I was to say I want to learn cooking from somebody, do I go to somebody who is cooking pizza for only 2 weeks, or do I go to somebody who has been cooking pizza for 5 years, who is expert in pizza making? If I was to go and get an accountant to look after my books, do I go to somebody who has run a business and done his own self-accounts for the last 5 years? Or do I go to a chartered accountant who is experienced in accounting and who will do a better job? If I need medical advice, do I go to a doctor of a certain specialty who is trained in it, or do I go to somebody who is a patient and who has just done something and you say, okay, that will do? And this is something we need to seriously take into consideration. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I know, again, let me emphasize, we are all meaning well. We want others to benefit. But there is a responsibility for us to make sure we educate ourselves enough to be able to give good quality input. Not just a walking past input and just leave it and say, oh, they did it, they didn't do it. This is my concern. Anyway, I'm only sharing my concerns. So good documentation is essential for research. Now, once you have documented half a dozen or more cases, similar cases, we could put them together and publish it. Now, there is also a possibility that if all of us document the same way, myself, Balu, Nitin Patil, and 4, 5, 6 others can all contribute 2, 3 cases and put together a paper. And once it is in publication, people will start looking at it and say, oh, yeah, okay, there is result here. It is not just a flash in the pan. Because that is what people think. Some miraculous recovery, flash in the pan. So this is the cornerstone of research and growth for every profession if they want to make it big. Similarly, the other aspect of research, one is through cases and one is through documentation and publication. The other aspect of research is to trying to understand how Shivambu may be working within the body. I really don't know. I've done so much work with Shivambu, but I don't know. I have my hypothesis, I have my possibilities, but there's nothing proven because nobody wants to do research. If I was to go and talk to some research body and say, this is my theory, can you prove it right or wrong? They'll say, bring the money. Who is going to pay for it? How do I pay for it? And most of this research costs a lot of money. So there are lots of issues at stake here. I have my own hypothesis of different theories of how it works, but that is a conversation for a different platform another time. Now today we have the potential of Shivambu that can be tapped. We are currently looking mainly at Shivambu for illness because that is what is drawing people together. They are desperate, they want something, so they come and we give them advice and they benefit and they go yes. If they don't benefit, they go away. So Shivambu for illnesses could be one area. Preventive health, like I mentioned, where I had benefit there. If we can do that, then suddenly you will find there are preventive health benefits. And we have already observed in our studies that preventive health has phenomenal benefits for normal people. There are changes that we notice and those changes are incredible. So what happened here? Is my mic working okay?
Yes, we can hear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, Balu?
Yes, I can hear. Everybody can hear. Continue.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very interesting, sir. Very interesting, sir. We can
Can you
hear
hear
you.
me?
Yeah. We can hear.
Is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
no, my mic. Hang on.
Yes, sir. Okay,
Yes,
sir. You continue.
Have we got our reply? Yes.
What happened here?
Anand
Can
ji?
you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
No?
Are you hearing? Are you hearing? We can hear, Anand ji. We can hear. Anand ji, we can hear. Could you hear us? Your mic is unmuted. Yes, you unmute your mic. Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yes, good. Fine.
I think
Continue.
you can hear me, so I'll continue. If there's an issue, please contact me.
Yes.
So there is preventive health. And then for those who wish to grow further in their spiritual journey, if they want to take it seriously, it can be used as an elixir for those wishing to achieve higher realms of life. And now what happened to my... Okay, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I should not forget Balu's hard work. So thanks to Bala Subramaniam for organizing this meet. Hats off to him for his dedication. Even though he knows I do not fully subscribe to some of his philosophy, but that's okay. But good work is good work. And Balu, keep it up. I wish him well and hope none of his enthusiasm affects Shivambu negatively, whether due to ignorance, oversight, or lack of proper application. I'm always there for Shivambu welfare. Thanks, Balu.
Yeah, welcome.
And last, I'm open for questions now, but I've got some conditions. I will answer only questions in English. Please be short and precise with all your questions. Questions should be related to any aspect of Shivambu and not cases and prescription, because this is not an open clinic. No question will be entertained on prescriptions and illness solutions. Okay?
Yes, sir. Can I start? My question is that the normal people or person, how to consume and what is the ideal way, and what is the consumption way of the sick people. So these are the two aspects I would ask.
Sure,
Thank you.
Sure. I'll throw some light. It's not so easy because I don't want to take only one question and explain it for half an hour. Fundamentally, when you're looking at preventive health, it is generally more than adequate to have first thing in the morning, anytime after 3 a.m. And 3 a.m. is an arbitrary line that we have drawn. Okay, that I have drawn. Because we have to decide somewhere what is early morning. Because some people get up at 2 in the morning to pass urine. We say, okay, forget it. After 3, you start. And there are some specific reasons why early morning urine is more potentially powerful. Now, one of the things that has been found by a friend of mine, I forget his name. When his name comes, I'll tell you. He has found that if you take Shivambu, it is required to take 10 ml per year of life. So if I'm 50 years old, I should take about 500 ml, plus minus a little bit is okay. But I can't take only 200 ml and get preventive results either. Okay. So if you keep that rough figure in mind, if you're 70, you need to have 700. Now, obviously, you're not going to pass 700 ml first thing in the morning. So you might need to drink 2-3 times a day to top up to get the optimum benefit. Okay. But when it comes to illness, depending on how sick they are, how severe they are, what you wish to achieve, whether you want to get everything better within a few weeks or whether you want to coast along, one of the important things that you need to watch out for is the body capable of intense change? Sometimes patients are not capable of intense change. If I was to drink Shivambu all day, every day for a week, I may get diarrhea, flushing, etc. Now, if that is happening and if I'm so weak that diarrhea is going to make me feel weak and I don't have infective diarrhea, then my guide should be watchful to say, hey, no, that is too much for you. You better slow down. Because the whole idea is Shivambu is not to hurt anybody. And then on the same lines, we have found people who, if they have half a glass, is too much. They need only a couple of spoonfuls. But they are exceptions. But you need to identify that. And that is what I mean by prescription and guiding people correctly. The next question, please.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, good evening. Can you suggest this better remedy for cataract, eye cataract?
I just mentioned I'm not going to make it into a clinic. Okay? But what I will do, I will take that question as you want to ask whether it is good for the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, eyes, when I follow 2, 3, 4-year-old Shivambu for eyes. Now that is very harsh on the eyes. It stings bad, but it is quite effective also. But you need to be careful. Again, some people cannot tolerate it. You shouldn't do it. People can use fresh urine 3-4 times a day. Use an eyeglass. But I recommend something more. Not just use the eyeglass, but when you dip it in the eyeglass, you do not just open and close. First you open and close. Then you keep your eyes open and move the eyeball left, right 10 times, up, down 10 times, so that the whole eye gets circulation with Shivambu. But that is generally good for most eye conditions. Cataract will come part of that. And you might need more. See, one of the things you need to remember is, if I've got cataract, does that mean only my eye is a problem? Or is it coming from my body system which is a problem? And I've seen people being told, you just wash your eyes and you'll be okay. But if my body, if my liver is not working okay, and if my organs are not working okay and affecting the eyes, then unless we fix that also, nothing is going to happen. It is like my finger has got gangrene. But the real problem is circulation. So if I just apply to the tip of my finger where it is gangrene, it is not going to fix it. I need to do that. I also need to take internally, I also need to take precautions to fix my circulation, whichever way, doesn't matter how I do it. And then your gangrene is going to disappear. That doesn't mean Shivambu doesn't help people who have got gangrenous or damaged fingertips or leg tips, toes. We have got very good results with that also. But that will be short term. It will get healed for the time being, and further down, because you haven't changed the circulation and improved the whole body, they might have a problem again in 6 months. They'll come back and say, oh, this time I bumped my foot and now it is becoming gangrenous. Can I do the same as last time? Now that is like, I've got a headache, I take a pill, headache gone. Oh, I'm okay. Are the pill killed the headache experience. Headache is still there. The painkiller has cut the experience of feeling the headache. So you need to do something to look at the cause for the headache and get rid of it. And then we wonder why that headache became something else and something else 4 years, 5 years down. I have no problem. I just used to get headaches for the last 20 years. Anyway, next question if there is any.
Anandji, let me ask you a question.
Sure. Any question?
Yeah. As a person, you are doing so many research works in Shivambu, and you have a
trying. I've got my handicap.
Yeah, very good range in mental, physical, and spiritual, and so many ways. You have a very good range of the research work. So we have in ancient times we have that Shivambu Kalpavidhi and Water of Life book is there. But in nowadays, new invention like cross massaging, cross drinking, and cocktail drinking. So many new inventions are there. Old urine drinking, injury urine drinking. How do you look into that?
Okay. Look, fundamentally, what I have realized is ancient knowledge is more wisdom based. Okay, whatever we have modern knowledge is just being mixed and matched to make something new. I'll give you a simple example of yoga here. I'll use yoga as an example. Today you find 10 different names for yoga. Bikram yoga, hot yoga, cold yoga, this yoga. Are they doing any different yoga? But they are just using it as a publicity tool. I'm doing something new, so no more business will come. And whether they are practicing proper yoga or not, that's a different story. Nude yoga is another craze that has been going around. And recently I saw beer drinking yoga. So you do asana and you do beer and you go, I'm doing an asana. What joke is it? You want to drink beer, drink beer. Why the hell are you confusing yoga and beer and making a big deal out of it? But some marketing gimmicks are being used everywhere to just bring new names, new things. But ancient knowledge is solid. I defy anybody to show me what is written in the Shivambu Kalpavidhi can be understood by anybody and is replicated anywhere. The recipes and stuff, I'll give you a simple thing. They have said you should collect Shivambu in gold, silver, copper, iron, bamboo, bone, leather, plantain leaf, and I think there are 2 or 3 more. Why have they said all that? Why didn't they use other stuff? Why didn't they say ivory? Because they have found with work they have done that these have got some benefits. Now they have also left it hidden. For example, I tried copper. Put Shivambu in copper. Before I could drink it, the glass was crystal clear, like you put Nimbu for copper and clean it. Ekdam chakachak, shining, beautiful. I said, I'm not drinking that. It has already got some copper stuff. Is it going to be good or bad for me? I don't know. I don't want to keep ingesting 4 weeks of copper in my body. And if it is specifically good for some arthritis, then it should be used as a prescription. But that is where they have kept it hidden. So for the person who is knowledgeable and who knows how to use it correctly, that knowledge is there. They have given the knowledge and say use these different utensils. But where to use, when, at what level, we need to learn. We need to become knowledgeable. And that is the same across the whole spectrum of Shivambu Kalpavidhi shlokas. And if you look carefully, it is the same across Ayurveda, Yoga, all our ancient treatises were always one shloka, 4 words, 5 words, explains the whole philosophy. How can it do that? Because it is widespread. The essence is so much in detail that it explains everything if you understand it. If you don't understand it, it is like just waste of time. Drink water, you'll be okay. How can we be okay? So you don't drink water. So like that, ancient has got tremendous value. We just have lost track. Today the IITs are doing work with ancient historical work that has been written about physics, about geometry, about mathematics, and finding out that our ancients were very knowledgeable. And my feeling here, and I'm sorry for foreigners if you feel offended, the West has taken it, especially the British, have taken it as a task to belittle our knowledge so that we feel we don't know anything. When the reverse is true. And I'll give you example after example. You talk about meditation, came from India. You talk about yoga, came from India. You talk about so many other things, Ayurveda, came from India. You talk about preventive health, came from India. You talk about jewelry, you talk about zinc making, came from India. You talk about pure stainless steel, the Ashoka pillar, non-rusting for how many years? 700 years. They can't find out how to make it. But we used to make it. Every Tom, Dick and Harry in Orissa used to have a iron kiln and could make that kind of steel. We used to make the best wood swords, which today Iraq says they make. But we used to make it. That steel was impeccable. So with that sort of heritage, and I've just mouthed off half a dozen things. The world has just been doing things enough to show that India is useless, India doesn't have any talent, India doesn't have intelligence, India doesn't have anything. So we need to wake up and say, okay, Shivambu wise, stop all this nonsense. We have plenty of knowledge. Are you ready to digest it? We will offer it. But we need to be trained enough, educated enough, astute enough, learned enough to be able to apply that thoroughly. Then people will respect us. We can't go and say, Shivambu Kalpavidhi is mine. So what does it say? I don't know. That is falling flat on our face. Then don't open your mouth, just shut up. But the moment you say Shivambu Kalpavidhi is good, you should be able to argue your point and stand your case and come out and give results. And when the results are there, people will jump at it. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure, Balu. Maybe we'll talk about it later. Any other questions? Let's take it.
I just
one more question, sir. When you consume this Shivambu, what happens to the body metabolism immediately? Also, its application on the body as a massage purpose. What are the process?
So you're asking me what happens?
Yeah, when you consume immediately the metabolism of the body.
All right. Look, this is my theory. Okay. But again, like I said, we don't have enough research facilities who are interested in going into it. When you consume Shivambu, first, as I said, urine, when it is passed and interacts with air, and we don't know whether it's the oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, or whatever from the air. When it interacts, it becomes medicinal value. It becomes therapeutic value. When we ingest it, the first thing I think that happens is, and I've experimented with this, I used to do headstands. And when I used to drink a glass of water and try to think of putting a headstand head down, just to do a headstand, the water would come up. Blah, 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 blah. So I didn't do it. And one day I thought, let me try with Shivambu what happens. So I drank a glass of Shivambu and I went and did a headstand and nothing happened. No bud, bud, bud coming up, nothing. And I said, what is this? How can it happen? It's like water. But the reason I believe it didn't happen was not because I did something super, because Shivambu with all its ready-made ingredients does not need to be processed. As soon as it went into the stomach, it got absorbed in the blood. So it did not stay in the stomach. So because it has got the same ingredients as blood, it gets absorbed in the blood very quickly. And it is what I call the fastest food. There is no food you can get that is so rich in all the ingredients ready-made for absorption. You can give me any fast food, junk food, fast food, good food, bad food, anything that is cooked. It has to become elemental form through the intestine before it joins the blood. But Shivambu doesn't need that. Now, as part of that cleansing process, Shivambu has urea. So urea has got what I call a hygroscopic quality, which means it absorbs water. So when it goes through the gut, I suspect what it tends to do is it absorbs water from the intestinal lining. Now don't forget, one of the things, if you look at my fingers like this, that is how the intestine is. Intestine is not flat tube. How many of you have seen a plumber open up our drains and see how it is clogged up? Most of us have seen it, right?
Yeah.
It is a clean tube. It doesn't have serrations like that, uneven. In spite of a clean tube, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or more, it is all blocked up and rubbish stuck there. You can actually take it out and where did all this come from? You don't even realize what we are flushing down our drains. Now, when you have a gut which is like this, how is it going to be clean? Can I put a water hose in my mouth and just turn the fire brigade on and it will flush out at the other end? I will be dead within 5 minutes. So when I take Shivambu actually helps cleanse this because it pulls water from there. So it becomes like a shower. So imagine a shower clogged up from the outside. Now if you turn the shower on, it is going to become clean, right? That is what I believe happens with when you take Shivambu, especially more so when you fast on it. Because the urea level in the body goes up, and through the gut, when the urea level goes up, the watering starts. So whatever is gunk is stuck in these villi gets released. And that's why for those of you who have done Shivambu fasting or who have done Shivambu for long term, you will find initially you get some flushes of bowel movement. And somewhere after 2, 3, 4 weeks, or if Nitin Patil may be able to tell us a bit more on his 10-day fast, on day 2, day 4, day 5, sometimes you will find a bowel movement which is so stinking that everybody will say, even when I flush it, smell doesn't go away. Where did it come from? It is all that inside gunk that has been waiting there for so long, and you're slowly releasing, and now it has come out and exposed out. And that's why it is stinking, because yesterday's stool didn't stink. So it is all this collected stuff that is coming out. And that is what it does. And once it starts cleaning, the other thing we have noticed is if I go on a Shivambu 3-4 times a day, I get good bowel motion, I feel clean. There are times when I'll feel really hungry, extra hungry, more than normal. Because my gut is clean, so now I feel I should eat more. Problem is, if I eat more, I'm going to overload my system again, which could not handle it. So I should eat my normal meal. But the temptation is there because the body is so clean that it says, send me food, now I can absorb better, I can give you more quality. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, perfect, sir. Other question is how to apply on the body as a massage purpose, any benefit?
Okay. Look, the body, I talked about the skin condition that we managed to heal. There are specific requirements for external application for the body. Shivambu Kalpavidhi talks about concentrating it to 1/4. So if you take a liter of collected urine, you must boil it to make it 250 ml before you can apply on the body. Similarly, I find we need at least a 3-month-old Shivambu for external application. I don't advise patients to use after 1 week of fresh urine and whatever. Rather, some places fresh urine can be harmful or ineffective. Okay, so 3 months old. Now for this particular patient, I had to use my, I think, 5-year-old collected urine. I've got all this 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 7 year. Like the whiskey collection, I've got my collection. So I gave him a sample of that and I told him, you've got problem all over the body, both arms, both legs. On one arm, you use my sample 1 teaspoon, rub it on the affected area, and don't do anything for the other arm. And after half an hour, you wash it and go to sleep. The next day, he woke up and he said, oh, the itching has gone on this hand is still itching. I said, right, now I know what works for you, what level you need. So we had to get him to concentrate his urine. Now my urine would have been effective, but it may not be the perfect medicine. It might be a stopgap. So for perfect medicine, you need your own urine. So then he collected his own urine, boiled it to 1/4, and then one day he boiled it to 1/6, and then complained it is burning. So there are definite limitations on what we should do, how we should do it, how we should go about it, etc. We can't just take it for granted and say, do anything, everything. Does that answer your question, sir?
That's correct. What about the fresh urine you cannot apply on the body?
I don't recommend. It is not advisable. It will not be effective.
But it is harmful?
It could be. We don't know enough about it. If the harm comes after 3 months and you don't even know what harm to expect, how will you know it has harmed you? Problem is there. Problem is there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can I speak to you?
Okay, sir, I have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
What about your experience for gangrene patient?
For
Gangrene patient.
gangrene?
Yeah, gangrene patient is curable or not curable?
No. You're talking about gangrene, right?
Yeah, gangrene.
Yeah, okay. Look, again, it is curable. I have seen 2 or 3 or 4 instances where it has healed and improved.
Okay.
But the point I made earlier, that don't just go with the local application only. Local application also will help, but you also need to make sure. For example, gangrene is much more common in diabetics. A general rule. Okay. Now the diabetic fellow says, I will apply urine, but I will eat sugar, I will eat jalebi, I will do everything and it should be okay. Shivambu will fix it. Take a danda and beat him up. This is rubbish. You need your sugars to be in control. That is something that needs to be looked at proactively, and that is what I mean by we don't look after our patients as well as we should.
No, what I mean to say, we are giving a diet that sugar patient, and is it curable or not curable in your side?
Curable hai, but patient has to listen to your advice, na? Patient
That
doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
that we know. But I just had recently, I had a person who's suffering from cancer who happens to be a medico.
Yeah.
I told them to go on a Shivambu fast. And then I found out later that they're having 50 or 100 ml. And then do you expect results?
No.
If they don't get results, they are the worst publicity for us. Because that person is a doctor. So they're going to say, I tried Shivambu, I talked to the best people, but I didn't follow their advice. They won't tell you that.
But our Shivambu and naturopathy is connected for this gangrene and diabetic patient. It's connected for naturopath and Shivambu. Massage and drinking.
Madam, what you need to realize is body is body. What you want is change in the body. Whether you use Shivambu, whether you use naturopathy, whether you use diabetic control, whether you use elevation, whether you use allopathy, doesn't matter. But bottom line is you need to get those results. And to achieve those results, you need to have some sacrifices. You need to put input. People don't want to put input. They want only output.
But sir, it's my experience. My patient is already cured. It's a gangrene patient. That's why I'm asking you for your
So that's good, na? If it's why are you asking me? You should be telling us.
Not listening,
when you lecture, you talk about that.
It's that fault. It's not our fault.
Sorry?
If they're not listening, then definitely it's not curable.
Yeah, but if we don't advise them properly and we don't tell them to go away, no, listen to me. I'm talking about Shivambu now. If I tell XYZ person Shivambu will help, do this, and they don't follow that advice, and then they have to get their leg chopped off, they are going to blame Shivambu. I tell my patients to go home, not Shivambu, even my regular patients, if they are not listening to my advice, because then I tell them why. The reason is, if you go somewhere else and people ask you, you went to Bapat and you didn't get results. They say, yeah, I went to Bapat, didn't get results. You don't have the guts to tell them, Bapat told me to do this. We didn't do anything. That's why we didn't get results. Then the person will say, okay, no problem. We know what Bapat is. They won't say that. They will just say, we went to Bapat, we were there for 6 months. So within 4 weeks, I tell my patient, either you're with me or you're away from me. Because you're not listening. So we need to become firm. We need to be strict. We need to, since we want to give quality, we need to put that effort into them. Make them think, because everybody thinks, goli lo, kaam ho gaya. Everybody thinks it's all easy. Nothing is easy in life. Any other questions?
Sir, can we use 1/4 boiled Shivambu into eyes?
Into?
Eyes.
Maybe too strong, depends. If you can handle it, that's fine.
So it is better to use aged or this boiled one?
No, aged is always better. Aged is always better.
Okay.
Because don't forget, when you boil it, it becomes concentrate. See, when you age your urine, if I fill a bottle up, I don't lose half of it. The quantity is the same.
Yes, sir.
Maybe 1 or 2 ml or 5 ml may be changed. I haven't measured it. But the bottle doesn't become quarter. So when you're boiling it, there are some elements that may be lost. So aged is always better. But when you age urine, you need to be careful that it doesn't have infection, doesn't have fungus, doesn't have any problems. It is stored properly.
Okay.
All right. What about any other questions?
1 minute, Anandji. What about the sunbath of urine? Sunbath of urine.
What about the sunbath after application?
No, before application.
Then I'm lost. You said sunbath.
Heating of urine by sunbath, sunlight.
Oh, heating the urine by the sun.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not an advocate of that. I haven't practiced that. I do know that people use colored bottles to get the benefit of different color therapies, etc. But I haven't got experience, so I can't really comment. My only concern is Shivambu is a living entity. So there are bacteria, viruses, whatever in there, fungus. When you put it in the sun, there is a possibility that the sun is not there 24/7. So there's a possibility that it will be exaggerated. I'll give you a comparative example that might explain it a bit better. If I was to cook chicken today and eat it today and there is some leftover, I put it in the fridge. I do not heat it the next day. Because when I heat it, whatever bacteria are there become more active. And if I have to heat it, then I should heat it till it is boiled, which means the taste is gone. So it is better to eat the cold, bring it to room temperature naturally and eat it. So same thing can happen to urine, but I don't know. I don't have experience there. But like I said, the biggest problem with all these gray areas is we really don't know what we are looking for as effects, side effects, etc. So we just need to be observing, documenting, studying, and then learning. I'm sorry, I can't answer that, Balu, for you.
It's okay.
Anandji, I am Ajayan Jaladharan from Kollam. Can I say some questions to you?
Yeah, of course. That's why we are here.
Your 40-minute talk is very interesting and informative regarding Shivambu. But my doubt is that while talking, you are quoted the importance of prevention health benefit of Shivambu and the different dimensions of Shivambu. Could you please explain further?
Okay. Now, when we are talking about preventive health, first thing you need to understand is most of us are not normal. People look at me, I'm 68. People ask me how old you are and they tell me I'm 52, 53. So that's a plus point for me. But that doesn't make me normal. I know what my weaknesses are. Okay. So I may be on that continuum of this is disease or close to death and this is normal. I may be closer to that, but I'm not normal. And in acupuncture, I have learned that there are very clear guidelines and criteria to decide what is normal. So that has helped me understand normality a bit better. So when I use that, I find most of us are not normal. Somebody gets angry, somebody gets frustrated, somebody is not fit, somebody is not flexible, somebody has cold hands and feet, somebody gets a headache, women get period problems, men have mood issues. So many end things happen. Or people don't sleep, or when they sleep, they dream. So all these things are not considered normal according to proper health guidelines. I'm not talking about WHO. WHO talks about I don't have a disease, I'm normal. That is not a definition of normal. That is a definition of absence of disease. Okay. So most of us are not normal. Now, when we are talking about preventive health, we are looking at getting closer and closer and closer to normal and then above normal. So the example I gave you about that lady who had very minor period problems, very minor. And then when she took Shivambu over 3-4 months, she found that her periods were silky smooth, was a sign that normal period should be like that. And I can sit here and make a statement, blank statement. I don't think I've come across any lady who has periods like that. They have some discomfort, some problems. They may be minor, but there is there. So you can now judge where is normal and where is abnormal, where is normal and what we think of normal. So when you start doing that, then automatically you're looking at heading towards meditation, heading towards spiritual growth, heading towards personal well-being. And for that, you need a lot of physical input, dietary input, lifestyle changes, etc., to go along with your Shivambu. Shivambu will be a good tool because Shivambu is a refiner. It refines the body in every way. So as it keeps refining, it helps you grow one step at a time. And that is where the preventive health feature can come in. Now, irrespective of that, I may be taking it for preventive health, but that doesn't mean my health is going to stay like that. Health is a changing commodity. If I tomorrow don't sleep for 2 days, I will start falling around when I'm walking. I can drink Shivambu all day, but if I'm not resting, there are going to be problems. Unless I've achieved enough level that I don't need sleep. That's a completely different ballgame, and I'm not there. But we forget all these things. And we believe Shivambu can do magic for anything, irrespective of what I do to my body. And that is wrong. So we need to review everything in a combined light so that we get the best of what we need to get. And preventive health can be achieved to a tremendous level, and a lot of yogis tend to practice Shivambu because they know the benefits of it.
Okay, sir. One more question. What is your opinion about the sattvic food? When sattvic food?
As I explained before, when you take Shivambu, if you have a sattvic lifestyle, sattvic food, sattvic thinking, it is going to help. As I gave you the example of the car, putting my foot on the brake and accelerating. The car will go only as far as how much brake I have applied. If I applied a little bit of brake, then it will go slowly. If I apply full brake and accelerate, the car is going vroom, 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 but not moving. So if I want to take alcohol, drugs, tobacco and all those things, don't sleep at night, waste my life, spend too much sexual energy and I drain myself and then I keep drinking Shivambu, it is still going to help me. But obviously the help is going to be much, much limited because it's like a draining bucket. I've got a hole in the bucket and I'm putting it under the tap and the bucket is never full, boss. Water is flowing. So we need to get those concepts very clear in our mind that, hey, I need to do something to improve myself. So I need to conserve energy. I need to have better input. I need to eat sattvic lifestyle. Sattvic foods are all about eating natural, eating fruits, vegetables, etc., etc.
Sir, other question. There are a lot of persons using various types of medicines, especially allopathy medicines. To stop, it need to be a strict follow-up of medical protocol. So could you please explain the medical protocol to stop the medicines?
Okay, look, we are not doctors. Okay, so it makes it very difficult for us to stop medicines. Rather, it is not advisable. And unfortunately, the medical profession is not working with us to help us get there. So sometimes patients are put at a risk where their blood pressure is coming down, their sugar is coming down, they are feeling wonderful. Doctor says, no, keep taking the medicine. So then they at their own risk stop taking medicine, which is not good. Okay, we need the doctors to come on board and say, okay, your diabetic medicine is 4 milligrams. But your sugar is much better, so we can drop it to 2 milligrams now. I don't know what you have done, but it is looking good. And then as it gets better, now I have seen in my experience, doctors tend to bring the dose down But when it comes to the final dose to say now you can stop the medicine, they say no, this is only a small dose, it can't do any harm, keep taking it. Unfortunately, that's a problem. Okay, but it is very hard for us to just go and say stop taking medicine, because the day I say to person X stop taking medicine and something goes wrong, it is going to be in the big pages when they go to the local hospital, and hospital says, who asked you to stop? Oh, that person did. Oh, doesn't know anything, doesn't know this. It will be black, big bold black label for all of us for the next 10 years. And the allopathic world, pharma lobby is waiting for this to happen. So we need to be watching and making sure we do not err on our side. And that's why I document everything. When I tell my patient, this is up to you, I document it there. So if somebody comes to us and says, no, I didn't tell them that. I told them they need to follow up with the doctor. If they decide to not take it, that is their responsibility.
Here in Kerala, some patients are using Shivambu is committed to stop immediately. I advise them not to stop immediately according to the protocol.
Correct. Yes. Very right. Keep doing that. Keep doing that. That's the correct way to do it. But people don't like it. I'll give you a classic case completely outside this realm, just to make the point. In acupuncture, we have something called some treatment specifically for breech delivery. Anybody know what breech delivery is? Breech delivery is when the child is coming down with the legs, which is in reverse. Okay, the child should come out through the head, and that should be a normal delivery. So when there is a breech presentation, we offer acupuncture, and we can actually turn the baby in the womb and then come out and have a normal delivery. So a couple came to me and said, this is what is there, and can you help us? I said, yes, acupuncture can do it, but I will only do it under supervision of your obstetrician gynecologist. So either you need to talk to your obstetrician gynecologist and tell them that we are starting this treatment, and for the next 48 hours, 72 hours, if I need to go into labor, you should be available. And if they object to that and they want you to be admitted to the hospital, I don't mind. I will come to the hospital and treat you. But I don't want to have a case where I try to do it and in the process something goes wrong. One of the common things that can happen in that instance is the cord can go around the neck and become a complication. Now, if the obstetrician gynecologist is not available and it is delayed by 4 hours, the child will be dead. So I explained all this, and the patient didn't come back. So I said, doesn't matter. Then I was talking to a very senior obstetrician gynecologist in Australia when I went there. And I said, look, this is what I did. Did I do anything wrong? The patient never came back. She said, Anand, you did the most perfect thing that you are supposed to do. If the patient didn't come back, they are stupid. They should have known that you are doing the best for them. I said, okay, thank you. As long as you do the right thing, don't worry about it. Then you are covered and you have peace of mind. Those things give me peace of mind. I don't have to worry about going to bed. Arey, I told somebody something wrong. This is a problem. What will happen? Anyway, you have another question?
So you quoted the importance of, there is a limitation of Shivambu. Could you please explain? It need to be explained.
All right. The first limitation is dosage. Some people need only 10 ml, 20 ml, and that's enough. So you need to be careful about that. Okay. Second is prescribing the right amount for their condition. Okay. So quantity wise, now we have come across a lot of people who drink 100 ml every morning. They are 60 years old and they say, we are not getting results. You tell them to drink 10 ml per age of life and suddenly they come back 2 weeks later and say, oh, fantastic results now. What's the point of doing Shivambu for 5 years if you have done it wrong? Now, this is irrespective of whether somebody told them or nobody told them. They read a book. The bottom line is they have had negative feedback about Shivambu for the last 5 years. Thank God they came to you and you gave them a solution and it worked. Otherwise, they would have gone away and said, Shivambu, it's rubbish. I've been doing it for 5 years. It's useless. Can we blame them? No. And this is the concern that I have. Okay. So that is that. The third thing that I have found is, as part of my experiences of Shivambu, I found that the body becomes more flexible. Your ligaments, your muscles are more flexible due to the effects of Shivambu. Now, one of the problems I suspect, and I'm always careful not to prescribe it to patients with hernia, and I'm talking about live hernia, okay, where they have got a hernia, or patients with polio. And the only reason is if they have got used to their ligaments becoming stiff and managing their life. Suddenly you start taking Shivambu and the ligaments become loose. The polio person who is walking with his hand on his knee, it will just collapse because the ligament is more flexible and he doesn't know why. And you don't know why, because you don't know that this does it. So it's better not to advise that. So these are the only two areas that I have found. Of course,
for answers. So first of all, actually you said in your first talk that it is very, very difficult to produce blood artificially. Same way, it's because we have done a lot of inventions. Science has progressed so much, but we cannot produce a glass of or one bottle of urine. With a bottle of blood.
Blood, yes.
So our body is so
intricate.
So the system which is working, and we are eating chapati in the morning, and by the time evening it is converted into blood.
Yes.
So that is the best thing which you explained. What I say is in the body it is urine, but when it comes out it works like a medicine. So what we call it.
That is based on the fact that we get kidney stones, we get cancer, and the same thing is cured.
Yes,
based on that we can definitely say that
was
there is
very wonderful. It was very, very good. And second thing, what I was talking about, you were talking about that cleansing body. So what, even as my clinical practice, I have seen on second day, third day, patient with the fasting, they say, doctor, there is so much of motions, now there is nothing left in my body. And the same patients on a 7th day or 8th day of fasting, it says that, doctor, so much of stickies, the motion is coming, and it is very foul smelling. Somebody says that it was like a tar.
Yes.
And when that phase comes, especially after 7-8 days or 9 days of fasting, and at that period, next day onwards, the patient will say that, oh, I got so much of feeling good, or
relief.
Total relief in his ailment.
Yes.
So that's what I seen, that we have to go for a prolonged way of therapeutic way of fasting. So under the expert guidance only, if that longer fasting could possible, and it is always that you have to be careful that only on second day or third day, if you are passing motions and you should not feel that your body is clean. So
correct.
That's what. And the third thing which you were mentioning, that there are many people, they are lazy people, and they doesn't follow the total protocol, and they say that this therapy is not working.
Correct.
Yeah, especially those who come in a urine therapy practice, marta kya nahi karta. So at last moment they come. Okay,
they come, but even in that state, they will not do everything.
Yes.
You would expect in that state that they will do anything.
Yes.
They start off like that, but after 2 days they say, "Nay, can't do this, can't do that," and they expect results.
Yes. So my father always used to say that never be a doctor of a lazy person.
I had met your father, by the way, long time ago.
Never be a doctor of a lazy person, and especially the person who has to follow the urine therapy. First, it's very laborious work for an expert to guide him, and the person should be very. What I say is he should listen to you, and he should follow the total exact protocol.
Should be open, yes.
Yeah, he should be open. So it was wonderful to listen to us. I have with me Mr. Kaka Chavan here.
Oh, तुमच्याकडे
Anand Kunj. He has come for just 10 days.
10-day break
here.
Revitalizing.
Yeah, revitalizing.
Kaka, 10 दिवसांनी भेटू.
I was to introduce you today, but I said that I don't know whether there is a range here or no. So
no, that's okay.
Today he's totally on fasting, on urine. And
He'll be
he's
okay, no
plus.
problem. तुमच्या हातात आहे, काळजी नाही काही. Okay, I would like to finish on a quote which I use, which I have it plaqued in the clinic. I'll just read it. Nothing is so incurable Nothing is so incurable as an incurable disease. But nothing is so incurable as the patient himself. Okay, what they are trying to say is every disease is curable. But if the patient doesn't want to cure himself, you can't do anything. You can jump up and down. And that is the first thing I tell my patients to read. If you're okay with that, stay here. Otherwise, go Ram Ram. Because I don't want to waste my time and effort putting all my energy when patient is not interested. Anyway, on that note, I will shut up. Once again, thank you all very much. It was a wonderful having an interaction.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night, sir. Good night to all of you.
Good night. Shall we close for the name? Good night. Shall I turn it off?
I'm invite.
तिवारी लेट हो गया है, बात करना है या बंद कर दूं?
Sir, namaste. Sir, my name is PC Tiwari. I am from Rajasthan, Ajmer. I have been asked to give vote of thanks.
Thank you.
Today's eminent speaker, Sri Anand Bapat ji, Bapar Saab. Today we have enjoyed the knowledgeable event. Our entire group, all the participants have enjoyed your knowledge, and I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Sri Anand Bapat ji. Thank you, Vasuma ji, thank you Rajaram ji, thank you Dr. Nitin Patil Saab, thank you Kaka Chavan Saab, and thank you Bala Subramaniam Saab, thank you Rajaram ji, and thank you Anand Bapat ji again for your wonderful speech today. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you all for good night.
Thank you Purvi ji, thank you Chitra ji, thank you Dr. Pratap Rao ji Deshmukh Saab, especially. I thank you Dr. P. Parmeswaram Pillai ji Saab. I thank you all. Thanks all. Thanks to Vijay Lakshmi, Bala Subramaniam sir, Gopal sir.